Hello everyone, my name is Roya, and today I'm talking to you about the books that I read in the latter half of May. I'm going to start with The Night and the Moth, which I already filmed a full review of that you can check out if you want to hear more of my thoughts. But so the long and the short of it, I'm not really going to go too far into this, what this book is about or anything, because I think everyone knows by now that it's a book that's freaking everywhere at the moment. So this book was really good. I could barely put it down, and it's the kind of book that you can't help but keep reading because you want to know what the heck is it that's really going on here. And this was definitely that kind of book, and I loved it. And you can check out my review for more of my thoughts. I already talk about it in for almost 10 minutes in that video, so you can just check that out. The Blood Print. This was unfortunately a huge letdown. So this is a feminist book about basically an almost Taliban-esque entity that has taken over and made women subservient and the written word all but obsolete and everything. And I thought that that was a really brilliant setting and everything. I thought it was so relevant and so interesting, and that was all done really well. But this whole book was so hard to get through. It was really boring. The characters were really flat and really dry, and I just did not enjoy reading this at all. Like, the only thing that I thought was good about it was the whole, there are people who haven't seen the written word, or even if they know how to read, they have never seen someone write and stuff like that, and people having to actually explain what writing is to, and what books are to people who are younger and haven't seen it, that type of thing. Like, I thought that was a really, really interesting just setting and premise, but unfortunately, this book was super boring and unfortunately not for me, and I really, really wanted to love this book. I thought I was going to give this 5 stars, so I'm really sad. Dame Ophis, this was somewhat disappointing, only because I also thought that this was going to be like 5 stars, and it wasn't. It was way too short, and basically just what it was full of wasn't really what I wanted out of it either. So this is basically about a woman who falls in love with another woman, not knowing that she is this lady who supposedly, anyone who finds her is supposed to kill her. And unfortunately, since our main character is a knight, she's making a pretty big decision by not killing her. So, and of course they are in love, and it is a really good idea, a really good premise. The love interest has snakes that she rescued, and people totally misunderstand her intent in having snakes. They think that she's just letting her snakes loose to purposely wreak havoc and eat livestock and just whatever, when that's not the case at all. And so I thought that that was all really interesting. It definitely did kind of have some relevancy to just the world of animal welfare in a way, even though this was solely focused on snakes and how, she has to let snake eggs kind of die and stuff in an effort to not increase the population of snakes because she's already taken care of so many. But I did find that to be very relevant to like cats and dogs, etc., etc. But I felt like our story overall could have been just so much more, and what there was just not really what I wanted. There was a lot of sex in this, which wasn't written great. It would have been fine if it was like well written, but it was just kind of okay. There was some good writing in this, but for the most part it was just all right. And so I just wanted so much more out of this than I got. The Devourer. This is about 2 rival pirate captains who have to team up to basically find what is killing all of these ships and sinking all these ships, and it's basically a person made out of the ocean, all of that. It's just very, very weird. So as someone who is deathly afraid of things like narwhals and octopi and all that stuff, just anything that could possibly be in the ocean, this was not that bad. I was really expecting to be a lot more scared of this book, and I thankfully was not. I thought that this was pretty good, but I thought that it was lacking in a lot of character depth. I thought that there were some witty side comments and stuff made, which I thought was good, but it didn't really end up adding to the characterization all that much. And I thought that the plot was very just cut and dry and not super high stakes, and I kind of wanted more out of that. The Meadows. This is a really weird YA dystopian that's basically about certain women having to go to a weird reform camp school place where they are not allowed to contact their families and they have to learn how to be like proper or whatever. And it's basically a like futuristic from today type of society, but not far future. So you can see it's like right around the corner that people try to make women subservient or whatever. And so I thought that this was really relevant and really good and just really interesting in a lot of ways. And there were some serious twists. Like, this book was absolutely nonstop twists, and that was really, really great about it. And I thought it was really good, but I did feel like that could have been so much more. It didn't really make the points that it was trying to, because it just kind of stopped short of that. And I really would have, I thought that this was so good and so timely, but I thought that it could have been so much more as well. The Dawn Hounds, this is a also kind of futuristic, also kind of piratey adventure. It actually did have some parallels to the Meadows in here. In that it was also about like people not being allowed to be queer and not being allowed to be themselves and such. And I did think that that was really interesting. But I also expected this was also a book that I really expected more from. I was expecting to really love this book, and it was just okay. And it was really short and just did not have the depth of the world or the characters in it. There were a lot of cats in this book, and so I expected to really like this book, but it was just okay. And For the Rest of Us, this is a short story collection that is not yet out. I think it comes out in September. I requested this from NetGalley mostly because one of my favorite authors has a story in this, but not only was that story really, really brilliant, but a lot of the stories in here were absolute genius gold, and I loved them. So this is a collection of short stories that centers around different holidays and like diverse, just ethnically diverse holiday stories. So there's like a Lunar New Year and a Juneteenth, and of course an Ada Nowruz story, etc., etc. There's just a lot of really cool stories in here about different main characters that we get, and I thought they were all so good, and a lot of them were also queer, and so there were a few stories in here about how do I include my significant other who is the same sex as me in this holiday without certain family members having some kind of issue with that, etc., etc. And so some of these stories were actually really heartwarming and really brought that home and did a really good job. And I really enjoyed I really enjoyed all the stories in this, and I thought it was very good. So anyway, those are the books that I read in the second half of May. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye!